Hey guys, and welcome to another devlog video for the Animal Behavior Kit. In this video, I wanted to take a look at some of the new additions to the population control that I've been adding that are coming for 1.2. I think I've mentioned this a few times in the Discord, but big changes to the population control. As you can see here in the map, I have two separate sections divided by this little wall here. And the idea is that now with the new changes, you can actually have more than one population control blueprint in your map. And why would you want to do that? Well, the use case is massive worlds or different biomes, right? So now, if you have a really big world, or for whatever reason you have completely different biomes in your game, say a desert versus a forest, you might want to have different animal densities in the desert versus the forest, right? You may want to have the desert with less animals, for example. So right now, with the version that you guys have, 1.1, only one blueprint is controlling the population control in your entire level. And what that means is that the settings are the same for all of the animals in your level. But with the new changes that you have here, coming for 1.2, you can have more than one blueprint now in your level, and each blueprint will take care of its own group, essentially dividing different areas of your map with all of your different settings. And actually to do that, it was actually fairly simple. So I have here two areas here. You can see that I have a population control manager in this area here and one in this area, and we have a spawn area here and two spawn areas here. And the simulation is going to be the area on the left is going to have less animals. So you can see here that the species for deer is going to have between 20 to 40. We can change this maybe 20 to 30 just to keep it even more simple. And the area on the right is going to have, we're going to change this between 60 to 70, for example. So about twice the amount of animals in this area. So this area is going to have a lot of animals, and this area is going to have less animals. And you can see that we have two separate classes that we're spawning. BP Buck Auto Group 1 and BP Doe Auto Group 1 are going to be spawned here. And for this area, we're going to have a separate class, BP Buck Auto Group 2 and BP Doe Auto Group 2. And the reason for that is because now we have a new option when we look at the population control component here. You have a new option called reference mode, and you have two values. You have automatic or you have use tag. Automatic basically means that it's assuming you only have one blueprint in your level. And you can see here, we're actually switching here with the reference mode. If it's automatic, you're going to grab all of the actors of class population control. You're going to make sure that there is one, and you're going to grab index 0. And you're going to set that as your reference for the population control. But if you have use tag, we're actually going to get all actors with this specific tag and verify that the index 0 exists and assign that index 0 as the population control reference. What that means is that now, as long as you have different tags, you can see here we have a unique tag here, ABK Control Auto 2, ABK Control Auto 1. As long as you have two different tags, your animals will actually register with the appropriate population control blueprint, and then it'll be controlled the same way. So this may sound a little convoluted, but I'm obviously going to make a nice tutorial step by step when 1.2 comes out to make sure that you know how to set this up. But believe me, it's not as hard as it sounds. It's just a matter of creating your classes in a specific way and making sure that they register with the right population control blueprint. So if I go ahead and click on play here, we're going to wait for just a second here, about 10 seconds. You're going to see a bunch of animals spawn here. This is going to be the area where about 60 animals spawn. You can see that we have a lot of animals spawning here, compared to this one where about 20 spawned. You can see way more animals here. And actually, let's do something. Let's go ahead and create, let's add the debug in here and show stats only for the right. That way we can see what's happening here. And between 60 to 70. So we can see here that 60 animals were spawned, 30 and 30 in this area. And they're roaming around. This is going to be the high density area, while on this side, even though I can't show the stats, it's a lot less animals here. 20, that was the minimum here, you can see here. So effectively we have completely two separate biomes here, two blueprints, and they're both checking every 10 seconds the population. And really quickly here, you're going to see these guys are going to start breeding very soon, and the population is going to start skyrocketing here. So let's just wait, I think probably 10 more seconds, and we can see hopefully some breeding going on here. Come on. There we go. So we got a few here, a few there. So look at the numbers here, 31, 34, 37. So you can see here 40 and 40. So now we got about more than 80. So you're going to see, there you go. You're going to see that immediately a bunch of these animals are killed to try and keep that population in check. And of course, you still see more animals popping up, and the population here is trying to keep the animals up to maximum of 70, which is why you say 35 and 35. So it is working, and the same thing is happening here, even though we can't really see it. But you can see that we're running this in two separate biomes. Another really cool thing that I've been working on for a while is adding new options, and you can see here there's a new section called calling this details, and you can see that we have a few new options now on how the blueprint kills off the animals. So in the current version, I'm basically have an array of all of the different animals, male and female, and when I have to kill a male, I just go through that array, and the first male that appears, I select it and I kill it off. Right? Same thing for the female. Very performant, but the problem here is that you don't have control over which animals are being killed, right? It's whatever was registered first in that array, that's the one that gets killed. But now I actually completely rewrote the way we're doing the killing of the animals, the culling, and now I have a few options here. And by default, the blueprint is going to kill the oldest animal that appears, that has actually in the world. So it's going to grab all of the male animals, for example, if it needs to kill a male, and grab the oldest animal that's been out in the world, and it's going to go in that order. So that means a little bit more calculation, but it probably makes sense in your game. If an animal just spawned, is supposed to be young, you probably don't want to kill that animal off. You want to wait and kill the oldest animals first. There's also other options like kill animals that are not engaged. Again, it makes sense. Engaged means that they're either running away from from predators or attacking a predator, or it works with the player as well, right? If a player is fighting an animal, the animal's engaged. That means that it'll be automatically ignored by this blueprint, right? You wouldn't want to be fighting an animal in your game, say you're hunting in your game, and all of a sudden the animal drops dead because population control decided that that animal needs to die, right? So even though it's going by the oldest animal first, it also is looking at whether the animal is engaged or not. And notice that these are options, right? So you don't have to have this option, but you can select any combination of these options and it should work. And finally, you can go ahead and kill animals that are inactive, right? So this is working with the proximity system. So you may say, no, I don't even care if they're engaged or not. Only kill animals that are inactive, right? That are far away from the player. And you can even select that option as well. Now, do keep in mind, and I'm going to make sure that I stress that on the actual tutorial, is the more options that you add here, the more limited is the blueprint to killing the animals, right? So if there's a lot of animals and they're all active and engaged, it will basically not be able to kill any animal right in the area. So you could very quickly see your population kind of go out of control, grow out of control, because the blueprint isn't allowed to kill them because of this condition. So you always want to make sure that you test that first. But anyway, the options are here. And also I've added, and it's not here, I've hard-coded options of if the animals are in the middle of breeding, right, with the little hearts, it'll ignore those animals. You wouldn't want two animals that are breeding to, one of them to get killed, especially the mother in this case. Or if your animal is a companion, it'll automatically be ignored by the population control. Again, you wouldn't want to tame an animal, be going around minding your business, and then your animal drops dead because population control decided that that's the oldest animal, right? So, you know, it's definitely a big improvement in the way we are calling the animals. And this group of options combined with the ability to have separate unique blueprints now really does give you a lot of control as to how you want to create your different areas in your game, your biomes. Because you could have obviously different options for your different biomes. Not only on the species detail, but also on the calling details as well, right? And finally, I do want to show that the auto grouping also has the same options. I added that last night. Same deal, you have a unique tag. See auto group 1 in this case, and here it has auto group 2. And you have an option now in the comp group tag component here. You have a new mode called group mode, and you have 3 different ways. You have manual, which is the normal way that you would do it. You would manually assign the reference to the group manager. Auto group assumes that there's only one auto group manager in the world, and auto group with tag assumes that each auto group is going to have a unique tag, like in this case, and that means that that you can again have different ones for different biomes. So a lot of talking. Let's go ahead and click on play here. We're going to activate both. So now we have 2 completely separate population controls and 2 completely separate grouping auto group managers. And notice that the one here for this area has, for example, the groups between 3 and 5. Actually, let's change the groups between, let's just say 5 and 8, just to change it. And settings of random and random. And group 2 is going to have smaller groups, 3 and 5. All right, and we go ahead and oh, and one thing, let's go ahead and disable the debugging here, and we want to make sure that we see the debugging for the group creation for this side. Again, and you're going to see in a second when we click play, we have a bunch of animals that are going to be spawning here. Let's give it a few more seconds here. And now, if I click on auto group 1, you can see that now 60 were spawned, and you can see that they were already registered, 30 in the male and 30 in the female. And automatically you see that the groups have been made. And you can see we have 9 groups created here. And we have 9 leaders. So and now actually we can go to any of these guys, click on the little icon here, and you can see that they are actually indeed group leaders with other groups that are following them. So you can see here that you have 9 groups that have been created on this side. Oops. And if we go to the other side, we have 6 groups that have been created here, and the groups are smaller. So again, we can go to the groups, to the group leaders here, and you can see that this guy right here is the group leader, and the groups are smaller, and you can see that they're breeding there. So now, effectively, even though it's a little hard to see, we have completely separate environments. This population control blueprint is calling the population, as you can see here, and making sure that the population here stays within the limits, and the limits are, again, 60 and 70. And this auto group manager is only looking at all of the animals in this area, and you can see here that it has 13 groups that have been created right now with the leaders. And now, on the other side, you have a completely separate blueprint that is making sure that the population stays between 20 and 30. Think about maybe like a desert. And its own auto group manager, which in this case only has 8 groups that have been created. So now, with the combination of these blueprints, you can now have completely separate biomes. So yeah, this took quite a bit of doing and testing, but I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think it's going to make a really big difference. I know a lot of you have been messaging me on Discord, mainly asking me about how to use these blueprints in, big worlds or different biomes or world composition, for example. And this basically solves that fundamental problem. So yeah, really big changes to the population control. Don't worry if this sounded confusing. Obviously, I'm going to make a tutorial when 1.2 releases, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick preview of what's coming for 1.2. So hope you like it. Again, big changes to the population control. That's going to make a tangible difference in your game. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will talk to you in the next video. Thanks a lot.